So we here, back at it again. Gonna get this water cup, do my little walk. Should turn on my video, but I ain't even gonna get it in that long. Yeah. So, issue at hand, your emotional damage when it comes to money. And the reason for me doing this video, it was crazy. I don't want to put the YouTuber, social media influencer, whatever out, but she had an issue with her husband and the situation panned out to where they got a divorce. The guy was, wasn't living up to his par from what I see, from for what she said and from what I see. I can't really judge the situation fully if I'm not there. What's going on, y'all? And the situation at hand was she basically, got tired of him not doing, what he say he gonna do or doing what he's supposed to do. So they end up getting divorced. And upon getting divorced, she had a lot of jewelry she bought for him, and cause she got a little money, she got some influence, she got a business, and this guy, I guess, just wasn't living to the par for the situation at hand, so they end up cutting ties. But the crazy part is a lot of people like she she was taking his jewelry back. I understand that, but a lot of people don't have stuff to take back. I always say this: if I really don't have a lot of money, I also can have things that in my possession that I can get rid of to get money. Any moment, any moment necessary needs to be done, I can do it that way. A lot of people, you know, have that emotional damage when it comes to money because generally just don't have it. Hey, Miss Patty. And money to a degree can be easy to obtain if you work for it, but those that don't really work for it, it's hard to get money. More or less, everybody want easy money. That's the crazy part. That's what gets a lot of people is the easy money because you can obtain money, but the easy money is kind of hard to get. You know, some people just want money to where they can't do anything. The whole point of investing your money and having the money set on autopilot. What's going on, Clayton Bixby? What's going on there? But the crazy part. That's why I keep trying to reference this because we can talk about relationships all day. We can talk about you know this whole gender war thing. We can also talk about our kids and feuds between child support and all that. But you having a relationship with money kind of sets the goal. You understand where you stay. You understand where you stand in this situation. A lot of people don't technically have a relationship with money, so they tend to spend, splurge because no one ever taught them this. It's a situation where like proper training at your job can put you in a situation to be a better employee. A lot of people are not properly trained from the jump, so that's why they have issue at hand. When it comes to family, when it comes to friends, especially when it comes to relationships and money. You know, our relationship with money is bad, to say the least, because most people are not properly trained. Like I told you about the situation about my friend. Never really thought a credit card was important because everybody told him credit cards are the most harmfulest thing that can, kill your credit, do this bad things for you. But credit cards are good if you know how to use them, but that's the point. How many of us are taught to use credit cards properly? How many of us are taught to do anything properly to an extent? When it comes down to it, we have a lot of situations at hand in which we need to, put things in play. And it starts with learning a lesson. A lot of us can't start learning a lesson if we what? Don't even get to that situation in the first place to even See, should I do this now? Well, do it later. I mean, get to a situation of, dealing with money. First, we got to learn, how to properly use money. How many of us properly have a savings account and put money in that savings? I have a savings account, but I dip in my savings account every now and then, because I don't want to touch other accounts. Project Leroy in the building, Conscious More, what's going on? Everybody jumping in here, Frugal Mama, And so a lot of times we have issue when it comes to us saving, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of times our parents will not teach us the proper guidance because they wasn't taught the proper guidance, or they would teach us one thing and do another. When it come to like my kids, I'm trying to like my older kids, I already have them set up. The younger kids, they coming up now. I already told my wife by the time they turn about 16, I'm gonna go ahead and put them on my Discover so they can already out the gate with credit. Out the gate with credit. You know, was listening to Erica Williams. I always talk about Erica Williams, the classic climb for people that don't know Erica Williams, the classic climb. Um, she explained how she had her kind of loud. Yeah, she up here by the trucks. She explained how her friend in high school, their parents, Chinese kid, parents own a little small store that sold T-shirts and stuff like that from China. Just regular say flea market type stuff. So they were selling this stuff, and when it came down to it, Tamika, what's going on? They end up taking the credit that they had and transferring it over to their child by putting them on the credit cards. So by the time they turned 18, they had a high credit score, you know. And then another thing was they was gonna go to school, learn finance. They wanted to go to school for something else, for science or something. The parents say no, you're going to school for business, learn finance. It can help us properly run our business so we can retire. And of all things, that's what happened. The kid went into school for finance. When they did that, knew how to adjust the paperwork right, file taxes better, adjust their rate of return to the point when it came down to it, the parents went on and retired. They hired other employees to come work for them, and all the son did was look over the books. You know, that's the proper training. A lot of times we don't get that. Our parents are not, getting us the information on how to fix our credit. Our parents are not giving us the information on how to properly use our money. You know, one thing I learned too when I was young, that far as paying bills, I would see my grandma and them pay bills, but it wasn't no thing that they would say, well, let me sit down and teach you this. It was something I picked up by watching them do it. Like I've already said this before on the channel that when it came down to it, my grandma went into a hospital one day for about almost a month, and I took all the bills, went in her purse, took a debit card, set up an account with all the bills, because things like early 2000s around then, they had the internet. And so, far as with the internet goes, I just set up an account. My grandmother, she's old fashioned. She pay her bills, she mail them in, or she go down to one of those pay services places to pay the bills there. She didn't believe in paying them online, didn't want to do it online, didn't have no idea how to do it or use a computer for the most part. So that's why she did it the old fashioned way. So I took the bills, set up an account with the bills, used her name, put all the information because you didn't need a social. All you needed was name, address, phone number, and the bill account number. You just need an account number. Once you set it up with the account number, everything was all good. So paid the bills that way. Only thing I didn't pay, I paid the water, paid the light, paid the gas. I mean, it was quite simple. I mean, for someone say they don't know how to pay bills, I mean, I would question them like, what have you been doing all your life? To a degree. Um, Simple as that. I mean, even a whole point of cooking, to a degree, you should be knowing the basics. A lot of people, okay, what's going on, man? I was waiting on that video um, of the situation that happened in Chicago, man. We never hit that on. I think it was Friday or something, man. I mean, I know it's kind of out of the water right now, but if you still talk about it, I'm up for it. But yeah, when it came down to it, everybody should know the basics. That's why my great grandma she set us down. She said all the boys need to know how to cook. She said if you never find a woman, at least you know how to fend for yourself. Because back in the day, it was more or less you find women with the intent to take care of you and cook and clean and provide. We all learned that because at some point she was saying that a lot of women wasn't cooking and cleaning no more. She started to see more and more. My cousin, her generation, she was cooking and cleaning ever since she was, I think, about 8 years old. By the time she became an adult, Queena K, you got two K's in here. Got to call them out. But when it came down to it, my aunt, she was I mean, my grandma, she was telling us. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. My cousin, she was cooking ever since she was like 8 years old, to a point she act like she got burnt out when she got about 25. She said she didn't want to cook no more, especially cook for a man. She's like, I'm only gonna cook for my husband, and I'm laughing because I always say this. It getting married is like that 90-day trial. If you can't show me the marriage qualities before the marriage, why do I need to get married to a person that's gonna, give me something after? Who knows what's gonna happen after this? That's like going to a lawyer and the lawyer tells you, you give me $50,000, I can get you off. And then once you pay the lawyer 50,000, he doesn't do anything to get you off. He railroads you to the judge, and he's not showing you nothing that he can get this case reprimanded or done a different way. You know, and, I mean, it's just crazy. You know, even to the standpoint where it comes to with a lot of situations with with the men. I talk both about men and women. When it come down to it with the men will sit here and say, well, I want a good woman. But then are you showing the characteristics that you're going to be a good husband when it comes down to that situation with that woman? You can say, man, I pay the bills. Pay the bills only go so far. You know, pay the bills can only get you where. It's more than just paying the bills in a relationship. Mahogany, how's it going? Uh, Really need to holler at you because some things going in the air. Just hoping that everything's okay, and kind of less is more sometimes. But nice to see you. And when it comes down to it, a lot of us, man, we just get to situations to where we're so accustomed to what I always say about society standards. Society standards always make us to feel like we gotta, stay into this niche or this circle, you know, this type of situation that everybody's doing it, so why I can't do it too type of mindset. And that's not the case. When it comes down to it with finance, everybody's doing the same thing far as finance. Everybody's going through the same process. Nobody's doing anything different to a degree most of the time. Everybody's learning on the fly. They doing a lot of messing up and then coming back and when they get older want to make changes, but they forget to initiate that with their kids. A lot of kids nowadays should have a better process and shouldn't have to go through as many learning curves as their parents. But a lot of parents look at it to a to you know to a degree that if I go through the struggles, you got to go through the struggles. No, that's the same thing I said for me. My dad put me in a position where when I was young, I didn't have to go through these struggles or anything My dad had a trust. My dad had the military funding for us when he passed. So those were the things that kept, my grandmother and all afloat for raising me and my brothers. If the money was not there, it would be a whole lot harder for her to kind of cope with certain things, kind of deal with, a situation of us growing and getting older and getting taught. Like she was, I laugh now when I spend this much money on groceries, but it's crazy that the groceries that I'm buying groceries, me and my wife, I think we spent in 1 month close to 800 or more on groceries. Then you would look at the situation to where back in the day, my grandma was doing almost the same thing. She was spending 600, but she had three boys that were just like we was killing groceries. Like even when I had my two older kids, then that was when the twins were, they were babies, so they didn't eat that much. But then as they got older, the older kids went to college, so it didn't really see a big increase. But now since everything is more expensive, now I see the process of everything going up, the increase on everything. But beforehand it was just all same price. But like I said, going back to my grandmother, she was spending so much money on those groceries, let alone trying to provide clothes and shoes, and we were doing sports and all that stuff. That's a lot of money to obtain for kids, and then especially when she had a stroke, she wasn't working as much. So if that money wasn't there, what's going on, boss lady? If that money wasn't there, it would be a bad situation. It would, it will be a situation that wasn't good for me. So that's why I always talk to my wife about, you know, if anything ever happens to me, this what this life is insurance for. This is the process on you still maintaining life. This is the process which you I always talk about her getting an apartment. I always say if I don't get an apartment now while I'm alive, I want to get an apartment with my life insurance. I want you to get an apartment with my life insurance. I have things set up in play to where I got to get this trust out of the way. But as far as everything run down like a wheel, I already have that set up. I already have what percentage my kids are getting out of my life insurance policy. I have percentages. I have business contracts and deals I have that needs to be carried out. And mainly, like I said, the money from the apartments can sustain life for my wife to where she won't even have to work no more. You know, all it takes is, just a couple 100,000 to invest into it, and let's say about a good 50,000 for maintenance, maybe 100, but 50,000 on that end because things don't break like that. And self-explanatory. You're getting paid from every unit. She don't have to work no more. She just make sure these units are taken care of, get her staff to work for her, and that's it. She can go ahead, do things for herself, take vacations, go back to Jamaica if she want to go back to Jamaica and just live. But the whole thing is you got to have these things in play. And see, if I was so emotionally damaged about my money, I wouldn't know how to deal with the money. I wouldn't have these goals and these visions about taking this money and doing things with it. I just want to buy me a car. I just want to buy me a nice house and stunt and get on the internet and show people, my riches. I show people I have this old pickup truck. I still drive this 98 regular cab, all dented up. It was dented up when I bought it. I put about 3 or 4 more dents in there. But other than that, my car doesn't judge the type of, lifestyle I live. For all people intents purposes, I could have $1 million in the bank. I'm not gonna sit here and go buy a Bugatti. You know, I was looking at a video on Black Wealth, and a lot of times I tell you about this. Even though I'm on YouTube listening to the in words of Miss T, the cluckery, and of Big Rooster, the cluckery, I still look at my documentaries talking about finance. And there was this one guy uh, lived in New York. When he made his first $1 million, he thought of buying his dream car was a Maserati. He waited until he got his business developed and made millions into his business before he bought the Bugatti. He already had a million in his personal, but he set aside that. Then it was crazy because he also had a Rolls Royce, and the only reason he bought the Rolls Royce was because he went to a gala with a guy who had a Rolls Royce dealership. And this is how you know you have people in good place and good standings. The guy who had the dealership gave him the Rolls Royce to keep for a week, and he liked how the car drive. You know, a lot of times people buy cars for the look and the status, but the genuine people who buy cars are the ones that buy them for what? Not just the look, the comfortability, the duration of the car, the that lasts long. You know, a lot of times people buy Range Rovers, but Land Rovers to me are a little bit better. Land Rovers, they're off road, they equipped to handle, certain all terrain, you know, road conditions. Even though the Range Rover looks nice, Range Rover has got away from their standard of that which the Land Rover has kept. Same rule of thumb when it comes to Mercedes. Mercedes is just went commercial. It went from Germany to making the cars straight out of Mexico, to where a lot of times you're not going to get a Ferrari out of nowhere, but where I think Italy, where the factory is made up there. And a lot of times, you got to understand, you're taking away from the quality of things when you start trying to make it a household thing. Just like people always say, that's why you don't see Bentley commercials. You see a lot of other car commercials. You don't see the Bentley commercials because Bentley is not the thing that's supposed to be for everybody. It's not supposed to be obtainable for everybody. You know, when you have these Rolex now, Rolex is a household name. Hublot, Protect Philippe. A lot of people don't even know about those because they're a household name due to rappers, but just generally, no one is going around affording these type of watches like that. Even in situations where a lot of people wearing the fake ones, you never truly know. So, with this, and I'm gonna go ahead and close out with this. Having a relationship with money, a lot of people start doing your homework. I've always talked about Wanda Budget and Beyond. She comes on my channel. I always go to her channel. She does her walks in the morning. She talks about the topic. She does her envelope stuffing challenge and things of that nature. But to a degree, a lot of us need to start going to YouTube and looking up how to save money, how to budget money. There's so many videos. I've just seen a video the other day talking about Navy Federal, the pledge loan, to where you can go in, get a pledge loan, pay 80% of your pledge loan through Navy Federal, and then come back and get one of those flagship cards that they have and instantly get your credit to the point where they'll almost give you a $10,000 to $20,000 credit card out the gate. But it do have stipulations, and it does come with certain things that you have to do. And so to qualify, they're not just giving these cards away. You have to put yourself in their light to advance for them to give you these cards and this money. But see, a lot of people are not doing the research, and a lot of people are not looking at their options and can they get these cards according to the lifestyle, the accounts they have. A lot of people don't even look up their credit. you know One of my bank accounts I have, they have my credit on there, and I can go in there and look at it all the time. Credit Karma. A lot of people say about Credit Karma is not that good, but the point of it is starting somewhere. Using Credit Karma, you know where your credit is pretty much almost standing, and then going from there. A lot of times we just don't have this good relationship with money. Nobody's telling us, like, we're too old to be not knowing how to properly get a credit card. We're too old to not properly know how to pay down and get a good credit score. You don't even have to pay all the things off on your credit. You know, even setting things in motion to the point where you get things wiped off your credit, because a lot of times we don't know. Hey, anything past 7 years, depending on your state, they have it to where you don't have to pay those creditors. They sell your debt to somebody else. That's on them. That creditors are. I mean, even with the jump starting off, once you have a hospital bill and they sell it to a creditor without your initial, some of them have it in the paperwork. You got to read the fine print. But after that's done, a lot of people don't even know. Like, you can get that stuff wiped off. They're using an old address. They have misspelled name. Anything that's not correct on your credit, it can be taken off because it's not you. If they misspelled your name, that's not you. If they put the wrong address, that's false information. That's not you. But we're not looking at this. We're not looking up the information that's going to help us fix our credit. A lot of people are in situations to buy houses now. I just talked to a guy the other day, and he was moving out of a rental property, and I was helping him move, and it was crazy because he said, "Man, I've been at this place for 9 years. You believe that?" I said, "Yeah, you could have been buying this for 9 years." He's like, "When I first came here, man, I was paying almost $900. Now I'm up to $1,700 in 9 years." And I told him, buy a house. He said, "Well, my credit is bad because I helped my daughter get this car and she didn't pay it off and this and that." I'm like, "Cool, okay, go look into buying a house." I said, "Stop being scared. You're too old to be scared about this, first of all." And like I explained to him, and I'm gonna jump off. I keep saying that, but I told him, "Hey, just go see how do you qualify. Rule of thumb: when you go to qualify for a house, never go to a real estate agent. A real estate agent is not going to approve you for money. A real estate agent can only go off the qualifications like most other people have done with them, depending on your credit, depending on what you stand, like your bank, how much money you have. They can tell you to a degree if you're qualified or not, but they have programs that can deal with that. The whole point of it is go to your broker, go to your bank, go to someone that you can talk in finance and figure out your qualifications. A real estate agent, their job is to sell you a house, and that is it. In most cases, you don't even need an agent to buy a house. I mean, an agent will have your best interest when buying a house, because if you're going through the seller's agent, their thing is to sell the house. So they're not going to have your best interest. But in most cases, if you know what you're doing, you don't need an agent to buy a house. You get your inspection. The inspection is a must. I don't how many times I got to tell people, even with new construction, get it inspected. A lot of times you go back after that year or so, you screwed. I had a friend, he bought a brand new house and the AC was messed up. Luckily, he caught all this stuff within a year. The AC was messed up because the guys who put the roof up were just stapling nails like crazy and stapled into his nails into the air ducts in the attic. He had 3 units. The first and second floor was cool. The third floor was just hot like crazy in the summer. End up having to get a crew, go up in the attic, replace all the air ducts up there, and then turn around, even though it was covered by the home builders, because they initially found it within the first year. But then he also had a leak spring on his wall, which was crazy again. They were shooting a nail gun and shot into one of the PVCs, and it grazed the PVC. So over time, the water was a slow leak, slow leak, slow leak. He went on vacation, came into the house, the whole wall was wet for the outside faucet right there on the outside of his right side of the house. And the right side of that house was going into the living room. So all he seen one day coming home, a big water spot from the bottom where the carpet was all wet, going all the way up the wall. And this was a new construction. So inspectors are a must. You know, a lot of times you're not going to catch stuff like that till later on. But an inspector is a must. So do your homework. Like I said, go talk to a broker. Go talk to someone that's licensed in finance. Do not try to deal with a real estate agent to get you approved buying your house, because in the end, that agent isn't cashing that money out for you. So with that being said, shout out to everybody here. Once again, I got to get out here and make me some money. I had a good little walk in today. Here for the grind. I got a hashtag. I got to go ahead and get my hashtag back started up and start doing my walks live again. But until next time, you know what I always say: we here and we gone.